every day in our prayers before lunch, there's two places that remind us that our food is medicine. One of them is in the 5 contemplations that we recite before the meal that we are encouraged to keep in mind as we eat, that we contemplate this food, seeing it as nourishing medicine, seeing it as medicine to nourish my body. And then in our prayer, as we are offering our food, we recite, by seeing this food as medicine, I will consume it without attachment or complaint. And now, I didn't actually give too much thought to these lines for a long time. I was like, yeah, okay, medicine, sounds reasonable. But in Taiwan, we really got some instruction and experience learning what this means. And one of our teachers defined anything that monastics eat besides water is to be regarded as medicine, and that we see it as healing the illness of hunger and use it to give us strength. One of the guides there was really passionate about our Vedic medicine, and he encouraged us to chew our food at least 30 times before swallowing it, or maybe it was just 30 times. And as I tried this, I noticed that this kind of just physical slowing down with my eating actually really helped me remember that I am eating this food. And here is food that was prepared with love, that was offered with faith and confidence in the Sangha. And as I remember that, it just leads to more and more of this recollection of kindness and tremendous gratitude for the food. We were also encouraged to eat until we're, maybe 70 to 80% full, which was a big change in how I've seen meals, where I just think that I am supposed to eat until I'm totally full. And kind of making this change, it's actually quite difficult because my body, my habit still wants to eat until I'm totally full. And so it's something I really have to pay attention to as I go back for seconds of, am I reaching that 70 to 80%, or am I, now just wanting to eat because I like the flavors and I just want more. And seeing that when I am chewing 30 times, or at least until it turns to complete mush and disintegrates in my mouth, so there's not a lot of effort to swallow, and also being more mindful about the quantities, actually the afternoon is much more pleasant for me because I don't have this like gorged feeling. We were also encouraged to find the middle way between eating everything that's offered and eating just what we like. And how I heard this, it was also really presented in connection with the 5th precept of intoxicants. Maybe that would happen before, looking at sugar as an addiction and an intoxicant. So that when I heard this, find the middle way between eating everything offered and eating only what I like, what I thought of was the way that my mind can justify my actions, because I'm a sugar addict. I have eaten a lot of sugar and go towards sugary sweet foods. And often I would find that when there was like this excess of desserts, I would want to eat a lot because I wanted to save other people from having to eat the unhealthy desserts. And so I'm like doing them this favor by having a few of them. But maybe I should rethink that. Maybe that's my attachment talking more and justifying my behavior. Because my mind is clever like that. And so in Taiwan also, we did not have dessert. Kind of this shocking concept. Sometimes we would have something sweet. We would sometimes have a snack in the morning between teachings, and it would be more like a, kind of sweet bun with maybe some dried fruit or something in it. And that was like this sweet thing that was offered. There was also fruit offered sometimes, and I would ask for much fruit because I loved it. It was delicious. And fruit is also different than processed sugar because it comes with water, it comes with fiber, it comes with all sorts of nutrients. And I think it's a lot less common for someone to just continue eating like pears, bananas, papayas, pineapples, like to actually gorge ourselves so much on that we make ourselves sick. That's much less common than gorging on ice cream or chocolate or whatever other sweets are being offered. So eating it in the form of fruit also leads to more natural moderation. And so not eating dessert was really helpful for me to just actually kind of cut this habit that I've had of my body reacts like I eat a meal and then afterwards I'm like, okay, what's sweet to follow it down with? But having this 6 weeks of not having that experience, just really helped me consider like, okay, well, what is this like craving for sweetness? What is it that I am wanting? Who is really wanting this sweetness? And just look at it from this more vast view to really see that my craving is created by my own mind. That there's not something in the sugar or the sweetness that is particularly satisfying, but it's this habit and it's just something I have become accustomed to. And that can change. And also seeing that when I do eat dessert, I have a really hard time actually savoring it. I kind of wolf it down, and then I'm thinking about the next piece of sweets, the next sweet thing to eat. And so even though it's like this, okay, this is what I want to finish the meal off, it actually just leads me to more craving because I want something more that's sweet. And so it's a little self-defeating in that way because I'm not actually satisfied after the dessert, which may be just me. And maybe others have similar experiences. I also have noticed that this full, gorgy feeling is like this tiredness in the afternoon. Maybe it's because I'm getting a little older and my body doesn't process the sugar so well, but when I have, I'll say, a large portion of dessert, it probably wouldn't happen if I could just take it easy and like have one piece, but I don't really have that experience very often. But when I am eating sugar at the end of the meal, that really affects my level of energy afterwards. But it's this really interesting thing where I want the sugar and the dessert, and there's just enough time that goes by that I don't make the connection that this is what's making me feel really tired and lazy, 30 minutes later. So it's interesting how my mind works, and it can just be, those cravings can encourage me to do things that harm my body, that are feeding afflictions, but that I don't quite put together the negative results with that actual action. And food is not my biggest affliction. But it's an opportunity where I can work with it every single day because I'm eating multiple times a day. And so it's a way where I can see that, that craving arising as I walk over to the snack counter. And what's the first thing I look at? It's like, oh, there's Oreos. It's like, oh, there's some fruit that's really beautiful and ripe over here too. Let's go for that. But just really noticing how strong these habits are and how it doesn't bring me any happiness. And it doesn't make the meal that much better. I forget what we had. I mean, if I think about it, I actually do remember yesterday's meal. The day before, if I think about it, I can remember it. But the meals go by, and it's not the sugar and the dessert, that just goes by too. It's not something that leaves any sort of lasting impression or lasting happiness. And so it's been great to practice and just see that I can be satisfied with a piece of fruit after lunch. That I don't need to go for the sugary stuff. And full disclosure is we're eating food as medicine. I did prepare dessert today. One of the things that you'll find is some gluten-free, dairy-free beet and black bean brownies. And also some dairy-free beet cake. So trying to, even when we do have dessert, that it doesn't have to be totally filled with foods that are fully processed, but can include some fiber and also nutrition to balance out the sugar as well.